going on, you guys? My name is Matt, and we have a big freaking problem here. Let me explain. We're getting right into it. First off, thoughts and prayers to the buyer of this Pokemon card. Here we have a Slowpoke with the Illustrator error. Now this is one that was never corrected, meaning it has no value. I think this card is worth, yes, $2.37. Some jabroni listed this for $200 and someone bought it for $200. Error value increase is 8,339%, and I do not want this to be the number one this week, but that is a freaking high EVI and I am worried. So follow along for the rest of the episode and let's see if any of these cards can beat 8,339% for the EVI. Boy, we are just getting right freaking into it today. Let's go. Yeah, so this is a weird one. You always want the seller to get as much money as possible, especially for an error. You think it's cool and everything, but for something like this, it feels wrong, it feels dirty, and I hate it. So let's see what we can do here. Alright, here's a good old regular error. So there's one downside to what I do with these videos. I always comment on the sales that happen, and I can see how much the card sold for, but I can never confirm, unless I talk to the actual seller, if the buyer actually paid. And that is frustrating. This one was listed a few weeks ago and it looks like the buyer never paid, so the seller relisted it, and here we have it again. I'm hoping the sale goes through. So this is a Shadowless Vulpix, and this has the missing ink error. If you look under weakness on the bottom of the card, the blue water symbol is missing a decent amount of ink and it's kind of splattered around a little bit. This is a 1 of 1, I'm pretty sure. I thought it might have been a repeating error, but I think it was just this card listed several times. So not a repeating error, and this card sold for a good amount of money, I would say. Listed for $280 and a best accepted offer price of $75. Now average non-error price is $1.54, so the EVI is 4,770%. That's good enough for number 7 this week on our list of EVI, but does not beat that Slowpoke. Next up, we have one of the more unique repeating errors in my opinion. We have a Dark Persian promo card, and this is the no HP error. Pretty self-explanatory what the error is. The HP, the 60 HP is missing on the top of the card. These cards usually sell for a decent amount. You can see I have the error price and non-error price for the different grades from price charting here, and this one sold for $200 this week. EVI is nothing crazy, but you can see it actually kind of kicked the crap out of the standard grade 7.5 price. Usually sells for around $120. This one sold for $200. I know price charting can be skewed one way or the other. We have some examples during this video of sales going for higher than average and going for lower than average. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what they have there, but sometimes what they say is really not concrete. But either way, $200 for a Pokemon card is pretty darn cool. Stainmonlee? No. Haunter Yellow Cigar Orange Stain. Doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely, but yes, we have a first edition Haunter from Fossil Set, and this Haunter was on the same uncut sheet as Stainmonlee and has that same cigar stain. This one, just like the other one, is a repeating error and ranges in severity. I believe I've seen examples where it goes damn near probably 2/3 the length of the card, and this one is a little bit less severe, but still sells for a lot of money. Average non-error price for this is around $40. You have to think, you know, it's a vintage first edition holo, and this one sold for $175. Just like with some of these other errors that have the ink that kind of got less and less as the sheets got printed, kind of hard to determine average price because the more severe ones sell for more, the less severe sell for less. So I'm not too mad we don't have a standard average price for this card here. So yes, $175. Next up here we have a repeating error. This is an Execute from Jungle Set, and this is has a printer hickey on the top of the card. And I don't think there's an actual name for this repeating error, but yes, a lot of Executes, or not a lot, but several, have this green and yellow dot on top there. You can see it doesn't add a crazy amount of value. You know, typically goes for around $5 for a grade 7. This one went for $30, so 500% EVI, but $30 for a card like this really isn't that much, and so I think if you do want to try to add one of these to your collections, you don't have to really shell out too much money. Okay, here's a PSA 2 Shadowless Ninetales with the no damage error. With this one, it is a repeating error, and under Fire Blast, there should be 80 there, but it is not. These were known to be found from Brushfire theme decks, and you can see they sell for a lot of freaking money. Holy crap, a PSA 2 sold for $600. That's better than a Charizard. That's better than a lot of vintage cards. That's pretty crazy. I would like to see how this stacks up for most expensive PSA 2 cards. I know there might be a couple others out there that beat this, but this sale seems incredibly high. You can see we have error prices through the grades here for the no damage Ninetales, and average grade 2 goes to around $314. So this seller listed it for $600, and they held their ground, and by golly, they got $600 for this. Woo! 890% EVI, and obviously not in the top 10 because we have a freaking strong week this week. I'm excited to talk about the rest of these cards, but yes, 890%. Very cool card, and a gosh darn a lot of money for a PSA 2. I think now's a good time. Boy, my hair is freaking crazy. Look at that. I might get a haircut soon. Boy, now's a good time to talk about my Discord channel. There's a link in the description. We've had a lot of people join it, and people are asking questions about errors. They're getting answered, or you can just show off different cool error cards that you found. And I also use this as an avenue to announce new videos that I post and just discuss different things. So if you'd like to join that Discord, please click the link down below. Thank you. Alright, here is another edition of Sam Finds the Error. Now, Sam's been getting good at this. He's been good at finding these different errors. If you don't know, if you're not familiar, Sam is one of my friends, and he likes Pokemon but isn't too familiar with error cards, and so I like to do a weekly segment where I send him an error card and see how long it takes him to find the error. And I think it's fun for you, the community, to follow along. Some of these might be a little bit easier than others, especially if you are a veteran, but I think it's fun, and Sam does a good job making it entertaining. So Sam, take it away.
Hey there, Matt. Thanks so much for having me on again. I'm excited to look at this week's error card. I wish best of luck to your viewers that are following along at home, and let's get into it this week and see if we can't find the error. All right, so we got a Dragonair with an error on it. That is what it evolves from. It evolves from a Dratini. Alright, so this is probably a moon here. This is probably nothing. I don't know that any of these dots here or anything, but maybe that's what we're looking at here. The sort of centering on it looks alright. There's kind of a little crease here, but that might be nothing. Dragon Pokemon, Slam. Oh, here we go. This might be it. There's a number of heads is all faded out there. That's probably going to be my final guess. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and I hope that everyone else found it faster than I did, because boy, did I not know what I'm looking at. But sweet. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.
This one could be tricky. I thought, he's going to find it right away because I know where the error is, but I think it took him 45 seconds to find it. Was I right? I don't know. So here we have a Shadowless Dragonair with the Rainbow Smear error. Look under Slam attack, and the word number has U smudged out, and this is a repeating error. This occurs on the Shadowless versions and also the first edition versions of this card. And they always sell for a good amount. I think the EVI for the standard edition is a lot higher than the first edition, just because first edition cards, that's a rare, usually go for a lot of money anyways. So non-error price for this is $10.50. This one sold for $111.31. That is a conversion from Canadian, and that makes the EVI 960%. Boy, we have a little bit of a drought without something going on the EVI list. Let's see if we can change this. I drive a Toyota RAV4. I think Toyotas are very reliable. I think their manufacturing is pristine and very just, there's not a lot of errors in their manufacturing, I would say. The same can be said for Japanese Pokemon cards. Typically, you don't see miscut Japanese Pokemon cards, especially vintage cards. I feel like their standards were so high that they caught every single error that came out of that factory. but sometimes they don't, and when they do get out of the factory, they sell for a lot of money. Here we have a base set energy, a Japanese card. This is a water energy, and this is a miscut. These cards are cool because they have a gold gradient kind of around the border of the card, and so when it's miscut like this, you can kind of see the exact line of where the card should be and where another card is kind of added onto it. And then you flip the card over and you can see there's even more example of that where they kind of have that shining pattern, you know, with the white going everywhere. You can see that does not line up at all. All of this is why this card sold for $75 this week. This is so cool. Again, I challenge a lot of you to try to find a miscut Japanese card, and a lot of you will be hard pressed to find one. Average non-error price is $1.03 for this. So the error value increase for this is 7,181%. That's good enough for number 4 this week on the list of EVI. But unfortunately, did not beat that freaking Slowpoke yet. Next up, we have a PSA 9 Blastoise with the stage error. Look at the top right of the corner. You think it says stage? It doesn't, because it's smudged out. This is a repeating error, and this is one where I think price charting gets it wrong. So this is a PSA 9. It says average price for a PSA 9 stage error is $1,000. I have not seen that in a while. I think their prices are too high for the stage error. This one sold for $550, and I think that sounds more close to right. Maybe a little bit higher, I don't know, but all we know for sure is the facts say that this sold for $550, and EVI is nothing crazy like it usually is, 28%. Ooh. Here's a PSA 9 War Turtle with the Evolution Box error. If you are unaware, look at the Stage 1 box, and it has a mini War Turtle in there. That should not be there. That should be Squirtle. And these always sell for a lot. So this one actually sold in auction, Australian auction, AA. Not Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm cutting this out, good lord. So this one actually sold in Australia and sold for what is converted to around $309. Average non-error price for this is around $24, and what you usually find with these different errors is the higher you go up the grading scale, the lower the EVI you're going to find, because both cards just start going up exponentially in price, and the ratio kind of gets off a little bit. So $309 compared to $24 isn't a crazy EVI. It's still very good, but around 1,200% for the EVI. And you can see this one actually sold for a little bit less than the average, but again, who knows what average really is anyway. This says average is around $400 for this card. But yes, I think due to the high grade of this card is why the EVI was not higher. So this was around 1,200% EVI and not even close to the top 10 this week. Next up, here's one I recently found is a repeating error. So this is a first edition Poliwrath from Neo Discovery, and this is an insufficient ink error. And this insufficient ink results in the bottom left corner of the art box kind of having a little bit of gray around there. So it's always weird when you see it looks like it's additional ink, but it's actually you pulled away a layer of ink to reveal something else under there. But either way, this is actually a repeating error. I saw a couple of these listed on eBay, not as errors. I don't know what the actual price would go for these, but they were raw cards. If I remember, I'll link them down below. If you're interested, you can purchase one. Get that rush of buying an error card listed as a non-error card. So yes, this is a CGC 9 and sold for $135. EVI is 34%. Clearly not a home run hitter for an error, but still an error nonetheless, and I think repeating errors should be celebrated. Next up, we have a base set Clefairy with the red heart error. Now, if you look under the description here, it says the most desirable copies are the ones with a thick, full circle and a heart because the error can be very faded. This one looks pretty thick. This one looks pretty good. So I would say whoever got this got a more desirable error card. So a PSA 6 sold for $550 this week. Wow. This one usually goes for around $21.25 for the non-error version. So that makes the EVI 2,488%. Now, believe it or not, that's not top 10. We got a strong week. Let's keep going. I'll talk more about them, alright? Next up, we have a Sword and Shield Lost Origin pack, and this is the red tape error.
I believe the red tape
signifies there is They have the plastic for the outer pack, and at some point that roll runs out and they have to switch to another one, and there's red tape kind of letting the workers know. But sometimes it gets printed anyway, and that's what we have here. So this is a PSA 8. Boy, I have no idea what goes into the grading of a pack. I don't know if it's the same, like, surface, edges, corners, and something else. I don't know, but either way, this one sold for a lot. This one had 12 bidders, sold in auction, and sold for $255, and had an EVI of 1144%. Next up, we have a Dark Dragonite with the no hollow error. The non-hollow version of this card should say 2282 in the bottom, but this one says 582, and it sells for a lot of freaking money. This one sold for $760 this week for a PSA 8. Dang, for a non-hollow. That's a lot of money. EVI is 2,940%. And can you believe it? This is not in the freaking top 10. This is going to be the strongest second half of a video I've ever had with the amount of things that are going to be in the top 10. So keep watching. Subscribe too if you're watching this far. Why not join the community? Okay, here is a nice looking miscut. Here we have a Haunter from Pokemon XY Evolutions, and this is a severe miscut. And I think this is one of the more aesthetically pleasing miscuts that you will see. It's one of the most I've ever seen. So this one is shifted down a decent amount so you can see another portion of a card that looks like a fighting energy type card. Looks like a fighting energy card. But it's also shifted over just enough so you get an alignment dot in the top right corner and the top left corner. And boy, is that freaking satisfying. I love that. This is just I think if I could script my own miscut, I'd probably have it more miscut, you know, but I'd have it probably oriented like this because you like seeing alignment dots, but also you like seeing the other cards perfectly aligned there. Very interesting. This one was listed for $250 and someone purchased it for $100. Typically goes to around $13 for a grade 9, and so the EVI is 669%. It's a very nice card. I like that. Here we have a Pokemon card from Rebel Clash. This is a Dark Energy, and this is an albino error. So I believe this is a missing print layer. Again, how I determine this is if it's missing ink, then it's only on a portion of the card, but if it's a missing print layer, it's on the whole portion of the card. So it looks like all of this back portion is desaturated a decent amount, you know, consistently throughout. So that's what leads me to believe missing print layer. Typically goes for around $2.22. This one sold for $85. Looks like the card's in pretty good shape. Kind of hard to tell from the photos here. Looks like the seller actually sells a decent amount too. So I don't know if maybe after the sale they can upgrade the camera a little bit. All jokes, but probably should take better photos that are in frame and don't have shadows. And yes, the error value increase is 3,729%, and we finally have another card in the top 10. This is number 8 this week on the list of EVI. Oh boy. Here we have an Evolution Box Error War Turtle. I've already talked about one, but this one's a lot more special because this is a Gem Mint 10. A PSA Gem Mint 10 Evolution Box War Turtle. This one sold in auction, which is even more exciting. I typically say you get more money if you list something for a set price, but sometimes it doesn't matter though how you list it if you have a card this valuable. And I guess I can't say for sure what this would have sold for, but I know this one sold for $1,975. Holy cow, it had 62 bids, and that is a lot of money. You can see Price Starting has error pricing for this. They have not updated it yet, so I think we can use this as an experiment. As we see other cards sell in the coming weeks, let's see if PSA 10 populates here. If it doesn't, then we know their system is broken. I might have to have a word with them. Average non-error price is $85.74 for a PSA 10 standard base set War Turtle. And so the error value increase is 2,203%. And remember what I said about the higher you go for grades, usually the lower EVI. So this is incredible. 2,200% is insanely high, but it's not in the top 10 because it's a PSA 10. You can see average error price, the best I could do is a grade 9.5 sold for $439. So I'm pretty sure we've seen PSA 10s sell before and grade 10s, but none that are documented here. And so this is the best we can do for comparing. That's a lot of freaking money. Stainmonley, here we go. Here's Stainmonley. Here we have a first edition Hitmonlee from Fossil set with a cigar stain error. Just like the other one I talked about before. This one is not too severe, maybe a little bit more severe than the other one. Sold in auction for $177.50, had 17 bidders, and EVI of 414%. Repeating error, can't find the repeating error price. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, this card is not in good shape either, by the way. I think that usually sells for a lot more, but you can see just the back of the card and like the front of the card. Not in the best shape, but I think it sold for what it should have. Here's one I have never seen before. So here we have an Ivy Pikachu, the promo card. We're used to seeing the first edition Ivy Pikachu, but this is a stamp. I don't know what this is from. I didn't really look into it. Is that Italian? LLP Collecting, and then, you know, whatever the heck that says. Whatever the stamp says, it's inverted on the error card here. So I was unaware of the non-error card, and now I was doubly unaware of the error card. But this one sold for $150 this week. That's pretty cool. Average non-error price is $46, so this must be some sort of premium card anyway, because $46 for a non-hollow card is pretty good. So I would assume if this one has an inverted stamp, there's got to be others out there. So I'm calling it repeating error, but obviously could not find average error price either. Look at the timing on that. We have a first edition Ivy Pikachu, a PSA 7, and this one sold for $680. I swear I didn't plan that for timing either. So this one typically goes for around $18.57. Oh, I should say first. So yes, for this, the first edition stamp should not be there. This was found in 1 in 10 jungle booster boxes. 1 out of 10 doesn't seem that rare, but I guess they're not all jungle booster boxes. There could be just regular packs too, so I guess that makes sense. It could be rare. But yes, this sold for $680 for a PSA 7. Error value increase is 3,562%. And that's good enough for number 9 this week on our list of EVI. And you can see average error price is $600, so it's in the same ballpark. I feel like I'm going to be snapping a lot here in a minute. Hey look, another Ivy Pikachu. This got a CGC 8, and this one sold for $631. So this proves what I've said, a couple different things. PSA is probably worth more than CGC, because this is a higher grade and sold for less. And if you sell in auction, you're probably going to get a little bit less money than you do if you do best accepted offer price, but you'll get that money sooner. So it's a trade-off. And yes, this one sold for $631, and the EVI was 3,110%. And that's good enough for number 10 this week. Next up, we have a base set Beedrill with the D.offending error. So this one, there is a period in defending under Poison Sting, and this is always a really cool one to see. This is a repeating error, and this one always sells for a lot. I'm surprised we don't have price charting information for the error card here. $200 for a PSA 6 seems a little low to me. I don't know though, this could be right. I'm not really basing this off anything, just kind of a gut feeling. Typically goes for around $9 for the non-error price. So the error value increase is 2,122%. Again, not top 10, but a very cool card, and PSA 6, that's pretty strong. Oh! Another base set War Turtle. That's the third one this week. This one sold raw, which means the error value increase is going to be higher. Sold for $115, and the EVI is 5,650%. That's number 5 this week on our list of EVI. And by golly, no one's beaten Slowpoke this week. So this seller has gotten away with it so far. We cannot let them win. We'll see what happens. Oh, I messed up. Here we have a first edition Dark Dragonite from Team Rocket set, and this is the yellow dot error. You can see the yellow dot in the top left corner there. What I did, is that even right then? Crap. I put the non first edition version for the non-error card, and I gotta double check to see if my pricing is right even. Oh, I'm not even right for there. Okay, I think I'll update this, but this one says average non-error price for first edition Dark Dragonite.
Help me! Help me!
This one says an average non-error price for a Dark Charizard is $58.08. So either way, it's not going to be in the top 10, but I'll make sure I update those numbers. Cool error. I don't think it's repeating. Sometimes you can just make things sound like it's a repeating error, not that the seller did, but the yellow dot error, well, yes, it's a yellow dot in the top left corner of the card. Not sure what caused that. Obviously an additional ink error. I hope that's not just a marker or something, because I would feel stupid talking about it. But if you have any more information about this, let me know. This one, yeah, sold for $175 and had 33 bids. Next up, we have a crazy ass cut Kabutops. This card's not in the best shape. So this one looks like it's a little bit bent. I think they even mentioned that in the description of the card. Is a pretty neat miscut though. You can see it's pretty fat bottom. To base, and if you look on the back side, this actually has a red ink dot error too, so this is a printer hickey on the back to the right of the Pokeball there. And so due to the condition of this card, it didn't sell for a crazy amount. I think they listed it for about right. This one sold for $35 this week. Next up, we have a Krabby, a PSA 4 Krabby with the slash error. Look at the fossil symbol there, and there's missing ink that makes it look like there's a fifth appendage. And this PSA 4 Krabby sold for $100 this week. Average non-error price for a grade 4 is $1. Now typically I think that's too low, but I think that might be right for that low of a grade for a uncommon, or for a basic Pokemon card from 20 years ago. I think that's about right. So that makes the error value increase 9,899%. And yes, this has beaten the freaking Slowpoke. This is number 2 this week on our list of EVI, and Slowpoke, it did not win. So, but yeah, this is number 2, and this is a repeating error, and there's no pricing information for what the average price typically goes for a grade 4. But the important thing is Slowpoke did not win. I know I'm treating it like Slowpoke's the enemy. I'm not sure if there is an enemy here. I think misinformation is the enemy. Lack of information is the enemy. Not being subscribed to Matt is the enemy, because I could have prevented this. Spread the good word. Next up, we have a Horsey from Fossil set, and this is a repeating error. This is an ink dot error, and this is behind Horsey's name in the top left corner of the card. Had to do a little bit of research, but yes, this is in fact a repeating error, and this one sold for a good amount. I was unaware that this one sold for as much as it did, typically, you know, for the error. This one was listed for $75 and sold for $64. Typically goes for around $1.17. So that gives us a 5,370% EVI. That's good enough for number 6 this week on the list of EVI. Boy, and the card's in great shape too. Look at that. That's nice. Ooh. Next up, we have a first edition Machamp with the blurry text error. So with this, it looks like there's a small shadow just on all of the text, which is very cool. So you can still read it. I've seen some where it's so blurry where it's very hard to read. This one just looks like it's all in 3D. You should put your 3D glasses on, you can read it better. And this one is sold by Infernos Games, and they listed it for $55, and I think that sounds about right for this card. And yeah, EVI 681%, nothing crazy, but yeah, very cool card. The blurry text error. Next up, also first before I talk about the error card, look at the non-error card. This is listing on, this photo is from price charting. It has that red dot on the right side of the wing there. That's called the Bloody Wing Beedrill. This is actually a repeating error. So if you ever see one, get it, because it's a cool error. I don't have one, but I want one. So this is another D-Dot defending error, Beedrill, and this one raw sold for a lot of money. Listed for $500, sold for $300. Typically goes for around $3.84. And that makes the error value increase 7,713%. That's good enough for number 3 this week on the list of EVI. And thankfully Slowpoke already got beat because this one would not have beat it, but yes. Last card. We'll see if editor Matt did it, but I had an idea in my head where I have Abra doing the Gritty as Justin Jefferson, because he's the Jet. JJ, I'm a Viking fan. Here we have a base set Abra with the jet plane error. This one's cool. So this is a repeating error, and it looks like there's a little fighter jet near the left side of that tree in the background. And who would know that little bit of black ink would make it sell for so much freaking money? This one sold for 130 Great British Pounds, which translates to $174.24. You can see back of the card is, it's got some fraying on it because for this one, you can see this card sell for $300 raw. I've seen that before. So that's not out of the question. I think just due to the condition of the card, that's why it sold for this. And I think it's a fair price to buy and sell. But yeah, average non-error price is around $1.50. And so the error value increase is 11,594%. And obviously good enough for number 1 this week on their list of EVI. And this also beat the Slowpoke, so don't worry folks, we're safe. I villainized Slowpoke. I'm so sorry. I started a new series on shorts where I'm talking about more in-depth information on some of the sales that happen. Sometimes when I reach out to the sellers to let them know, hey, you're in my video, they tell me cool information about how they got the card. So be on the lookout for those, and thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Goodbye.